Here we go. Back and crack. Something different.
What is going on?
Gotta change it up. Welcome to Open Collar, the show where I'm Spartacus is not as iconic as I'm Batman. I'm Corey. He's Steve. If you don't know who we are now, you know who we are. And if you didn't hear us, now you can read it. I'm Corey. He's baseball.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, God. What's going on?
Windscreen blocking all your breathing, I see.
Yeah, I figured I'm going to try something new just to see if I can make my audio a bit better. But then, I fight an uphill battle against technology every week. So, what is the point at this stage of the game, right?
Technology is supposed to be our friend, and yet not as much.
It's not.
No,
They
it's
are.
not.
There are overlords, and they're killing me slowly with their try this and try that and accept this pop-up. What pop-up? I don't see a pop-up. You should have, but you don't.
Yeah, I do like the whole instructions. Follow this. Like when you plug this in, you should be prompted to add hardware. And
No, doesn't exist.
no, you don't.
It's lies.
No,
It's all lies, Corey.
it is. It very much is.
But again, we say this week in and week out. What would it be without?
As we say, it's off the rails all the time. Like,
Hey, you know what? If
it's part of what we do.
If this isn't the definition of just like being as real and true and not scripted and whatnot, then I don't know what is.
Amen.
Amen. I went to a wedding this weekend, Corey.
You were telling me that was your plan. It was yesterday, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if I've graduated to the table of those that want to leave a wedding at 9 p.m. or maybe I've downgraded. I don't know. I really don't know.
No.
But
it's a rite of passage. Everyone knows when you've gotten to a certain age, you've hit the prime. It's 9 o'clock. I should be in bed.
Oh, I'm already envisioning in bed watching baseball or reading a comic or doing whatever at 9:30. And we had, I was DD last night, and we had picked up one of Jade's colleagues who's younger, former colleagues who's younger. She's 22. All that to say, we made it home by 11, which to me felt like a small victory, like that we had made it home that early.
Yeah.
For at least another hour earlier than that. But she's 22, and she's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm going out to party after this." I'm like, "Oh my God, like no."
That just sounds.
She's like, "I just want to
worst
go home,
idea
pick up
ever.
my makeup, get into some comfy clothes, and then I'm gonna go out and party for round 2." I'm like, no.
We get to a certain age, there's no round 2 at all.
No,
for anything.
It's
you're lucky if you're lucky you appeared at this outing.
Yeah,
you should be grateful I showed up at all.
To the 100%. I mean, I will eat your cold soup and lukewarm mashed potatoes, but that's all you're getting from me.
Yeah.
Don't expect anything else. I just, I'm just at that age. Like, I just, I'm in close to my mid 40s. I feel like those that I know should already be married or working on their second marriage, which would then constitute me not to require to go to the second marriage.
Yeah. Like, isn't that the proper age? Like, I went to your first wedding.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm
going
good.
Again.
Yeah.
Not my fault you have to start over.
I've seen that show already.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it's like us. We went to the hockey game on Friday, and I was kind of like nudging the little one. Like, you're tired, right? You want to go home. Like, you don't want to stay the whole game, right?
No. Yeah.
Like, you're 6. Like, you could use a good night rest. And then, little one wants to leave, so I'll take her home.
Tell you.
As I'm shoving her in the car, let's go.
Hurry.
I want to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, you try and deflect and make it like it's about them, but really it's about you. Like, you want to go home.
That's right. And it works other ways too. Like, you want to buy this PlayStation.
That's right.
Let me show you how to play the game.
Actually, speaking of PlayStation, I went to GameStop this week and I had a couple of figures that I needed to pick up that were on pre-order.
Yep.
And was inquiring about Spider-Man 2 and figured, I'd put my deposit on in my pre-order. And she's like, yeah, no problem. I said, PS4, right? She's like, no. It's PS5 only.
That's
I'm
why
like,
I guess.
oh, officially now no longer buying new games that come out on PlayStation because I have a PS4.
That's right.
She's like,
You have been shown the door.
oh, yes. Yeah.
The world has left you behind now.
And not so slightly shown the door, like more like shoved to the door. Like, this is the way out. She's like, you can trade in which model do you have? And the model of PS4 that I have, I used my air miles to buy back in 2009. So it's old. It's maybe like the standard 500 gigs, if that. So I was like, of the tiers that you're telling me, it is on the bottom. And she's like, oh yeah, no, bring it in. We'll give you $40. I'm like, okay, well, how much is the PS5 going for? She's like, oh, well, we have a bundle. It's $7.99. Like, oh, okay. So just gonna do the scale there and see if it works out.
It's always at the point where it's like, let's just keep the PS4 and the $40. Right.
Yeah, and I had said to her, like, I'm trying to get an estimate on what the value is of my trade-in with all the games that I have, and like I have some newer games, like I have the Miles and the Spider-Man and Fallen Jedi and Dead Red 1 and 2 and like a bunch of others. So I said I have a good like 10 games that are still somewhat playable and entertaining. And she's like, no, just keep those because they're reverse compatible with the PS5. Just bring in your PS4 for the $40 and drop $800 plus and keep the games that you have. I'm like, well,
I don't want the games. I want to spend less money. What are you not understanding here, woman?
Yeah. What are you not getting? It's so I'm not playing Spider-Man 3 or 2. It's not happening.
Not yet. It'll happen. It has to happen. You have to make that leap. Well,
I wish it the best though in terms of being an awesome game.
Tony Todd voicing Venom, like what? You can't go wrong.
No, you can't.
It's no Candyman, but here we are.
Here we are.
Although if I say that four more times, they're gonna get like self-murdered.
Don't say that. How are we going to get through these technical difficulties if we get murdered?
It might improve the technical difficulties.
That's right. You might actually be like,
never know.
Yeah.
Oh, I just said no. So speaking of no, they're gonna reboot The Office.
Yeah.
No, God, please no. Although you're shaking your fist, so I think it's a stupid idea.
Okay, I think I can meet you halfway, if not all the way. But I'll let you explain why.
Why is it stupid? Okay, well, okay. It will not be anything like it was because it can't.
No.
Not just because the cast is going to be different, not just because the story will be different. It was a product of its time that we cannot do anymore. So why are we? I don't like the idea of bringing something back as something else just to play off the name The Office. Like you can make the argument that it should never have been remade from the British version, but you'd also make the argument of what's wrong with adapting something that ran for a short time and try something new in a different country.
You could say that.
I'll defend that. But the American version being rebooted just because the old one's still popular, to me, does not warrant its creation. That's why I think it's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I would say, though, those that argue, like, why would you adapt it from the British version? Good point, until they realized how successful it was and the time that we were living in when they could say a joke that was funny and people wouldn't lose their shit about it. And I'm happy to report, just side note, I can now hear you in my headphones, so we are good to go. only 10 minutes
10
in.
minutes in. And 3 weeks later.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I am like, to your point, the only way that this will ever even come close to the original Office series, not the original, like the American Office series, is if it plays on the same chords that it did when it was first on air, which I don't think can happen. Now, they might. Do you think NBC? Well, I don't even know. Like, would it be NBC or would it be?
Well,
Because
from
here's the
what
thing, like if it's NBC, then yeah, I could see it being a lot more of a you're pushing water uphill to get the jokes that you want to get on the show. But if you're making it on, I don't know, like a show time, like some station that, hey, after 9, anything goes kind of thing, then yeah, let them see how funny they can be.
So let's preface by saying Greg Daniels has clarified things and saying that it's too soon to say, hey, this is indeed happening. Like, deals need to be worked out. Someone has to actually say we want this first before deals work out. So there's obviously no guarantee. But the one part that I get that I think if you're gonna reboot it and you have to reboot it, you stay away from everybody and anything related to Dunder Mifflin, and you go completely the other way and do something completely different. You want to keep the mockumentary format, sure, but I don't think you bring anybody back because then you're just living in the shadow of the other show.
Well, and you have something that you need to live up to as well, right?
Yeah.
So would you
Then you can't really call it a reboot because
here?
you're continuing the story.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and that's true. I would you, in the spirit of mockumentaries, would you try and keep it like in Wilton, Scranton,
Scranton.
Scranton, thank you, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Would you try and keep it there, like, but a different like industry? Like, what about like Bob Vance? Do you think that would be too
Vance.
close?
Like you do it, it's about people working for Vance Refrigeration.
Yeah.
I
think it would be too
move
close
it out of
because it's in the same
Pennsylvania. I think
building, right?
it's not paper related. It's something completely different, just in the same vein of that type of story. Some sort of industry that their workplace, that there can be any sort of workplace. Make it like a tech company.
Yeah, something of its time. Not that like paper was of its time in the early aughts when it came out, but it was almost, you think back at like, oh yeah, they're selling paper in like the digital age when it was just up and coming. Like you're already setting yourself up for failure kind of thing, right? So maybe they take that same avenue, but like what would be the failure of our time that's still relevant?
Maybe you do it. It's like a social media platform.
Yeah.
That's, floundering. Twitter.
Yeah. Or yeah, like just you're trying to share pictures. Like that's hasn't been thought of before, right? I don't know. Would you be okay though if it was like The Office returns, but it wasn't everybody that came back, but if it was like a few select characters from the original American version that had recurring roles? So like not the Jims and Pams and Dwights, but like what if it was the, I don't know, Kevin and Angela and
so basically the people who are not working anymore.
Well, like just yeah. Didn't want to say it, but basically you
wanted to be kind. No, like I said, I think you need to distance yourself from the Mifflin of the Dunder and just completely. We're living in an age where we're relying too much on callbacks and nostalgia. I think if you go Nolan and just make your own thing.
Don't we live in a messed up world where we live in a society where we go to cancel everything that was in the past, but at the same time trying to bring back everything that was in the past? It's like I don't even know what road we're on. I feel like Steve Martin and John Candy in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, like, you're driving the wrong way. Yeah.
Yeah, like we are living in the age of like the Mini Cooper coming back. Like, why? No one needed that car.
I needed
Yes,
it.
it's from the iconic original Gone in Italian Job. And they referenced it in the remake of the Italian Job. So then the car came back. But it's too small for what the world is now. Like with families and pets, like people
Well,
off-roading
and
and
like the
doing
American
off trails.
ideology of having everything big, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't want to be seen as meep meep. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like the
yeah.
smart car.
Yeah, it's messed up. I mean, yeah, part of me is like, I would love to see some. I just want a show that was like The Office, and I think that's what you were alluding to earlier. Is like we rely heavily on the nostalgia of it, but in reality, can we really get that back? Like, or should we just appreciate what we had when we had it?
No, we are in the like need to have your security blanket generation. We
Right?
need to have like that's what people are watching The Office nonstop. People are watching now. Suits is a huge thing now for
Really?
some whatever reason on Netflix and Peacock. Like we have to have what we had before. Like that's our comfort. That's our security blanket. We need to. That's all people want to do now is watch the same thing on loop and pretend nothing else is happening.
Yeah. Suits comes in at number 17 of 39 for shows that Jade and I have started and not finished. We got it to season
Now, is this just
4 or
like a
5.
random ranking, or are you ranking them from like biggest thing to like an inconspicuous show? Like this is number
No, that was
17.
completely random, but I mean,
Okay,
we literally have had about 39 shows,
it's
and
not
I'm
like on
just
the
saying,
countdown.
yeah, I should have just gone with that. There was a ranking of some sort, but we got really far on it,
It's
and
American Top
stopped.
40, number 17.
That's right, like Casey Kasem. That's what we
Yeah, that's
need to
right.
do. A
Long distance
segment,
dedication.
a Casey Kasem segment for long distance dedications to shows that Steve and Jade started but didn't.
Coming in at number 17.
Oh God, we should get the interns to work on this for a bit. But there's something there. I'm telling you, if you stir the pot a bit, there's something there for sure. Yeah,
I like that. That'd be fun.
it would be. I mean, why not?
I want to see that list. That's gonna be a good. I think there's gonna be some shockers in there. I know we will
You
talk
know
about
what?
Shocktober later.
Yeah, and you know what? That's my homework for the week. Jade and I will compile a list for next week, and we'll go through the list, and whether we have to break it over a couple shows or not, we'll go
Mhm.
through the list and which season we finished on, and then you can berate me on, like everyone else does, like you idiot. Why did you stop watching Game of Thrones after the Red Wedding? I don't know. I just did.
Probably because of like the brutality of it all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why did you make it to the second last show of? Yeah, I don't know. Like Mad Men. Anyway, I'm
I've
spoiling
always wanted to watch
future
Mad
episodes.
Men.
It's really good up until the last season and a half because we haven't
I find
seen the
that's a
last
lot
6
of
episodes.
cable shows are like that. Like they're good and then they drift.
It
Although
really,
former host of the show, Ryan Karkner, would love to have lived in the 50s. You think that would have been like the time to be alive? Just
yeah,
the way you dress, just the way like no one gave a fuck about
just
anything.
well, and it's perfect because in one of the episodes of Mad Men, they're having a picnic at a park. And
Yeah,
Don Draper finishes a banana and just chucks the peel. So, like
there,
back in
man.
the 50s, like no regard for like what is a garbage can. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
there is nothing.
And you get to go home and someone hands you a highball and you're good to go.
That's it. What time is it? 10:30. Oh, okay. In the morning. No problem. No problem. But yeah, if you do have interest in it, I would suggest it. It was a really good show. Really good show.
Until it wasn't,
Until it wasn't. Until
as you say.
yeah. I just wanted, you know what? I wish I had the power. This is where I wish they had choose your own adventure for television series where you could, have some sort of control as the viewer to be like, you know what? I'm losing interest in a show. We're coming up to season 4, 5, or 6, or whatever that might be. What options do I have to just end it? And then they could just take you down this road or take you down that road or Or if you want to, follow the writer's intent, then you can just watch it weekly kind of thing. It'd be awesome to do that.
You almost like you're describing how like China edits some material. So you'd have like you're watching a show. I don't think we're big in China, so
No.
it's like you'll watch a show and you get to a point you press the buttons like I don't want to like tell me how this ends. I don't want to watch it anymore. And then like it's like a blank screen will come up with just dialogue, like just text written like, oh, and then they got married and like had like 3 kids and this guy was the murderer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. And then click, move on.
Like, why can't there be a Kramer type, Kramer brown eye? You've selected brown eyed girl.
You selected skip to season 4.
Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie? Why don't you just tell me the ending you'd like to have? Get to that point. Like, where are
that's
we?
different. That is like now you're making up your own.
Sometimes it is better though.
Fair enough. But now, like, we live in a world now where the writers are back to work now that the strike's over, which we predicted what was going to happen based on news last week, and we can start getting programs back. Did you hear what Drew Carey was doing during the strike? Like paying for all everyone's meals at for the picketers.
Like while they were picketing?
Yeah, so like you'd say if you need like get
him.
out of the sun and go like get a meal or something, go to one of these 2 restaurants. They said like one spot like throughout the whole thing was like cost them like $10,000 per week. So this has been going on since May and it just ended, I think, on Sunday. So that's a good chunk of change.
Good for him.
And like his comment was like he's rich because of writers who wrote his show. So like without them, he wouldn't have the money that he has now to do that.
Again, though, we're just seeing examples of like these are the times. Unfortunately, as it is, we are seeing the cream of the crop rise. Like the Drew Careys and who was it a couple weeks ago? Was it Bill Maher that was?
Yeah, he was going to bring a show back.
Yeah, and you're starting to see stories of these folks that are doing things like that, where it's not about publicity for it; it's about doing what's right.
Yeah, I think Seth MacFarlane was donating like $5 million here and there to like some like a fund that people were drawing out of who needed
just
it
to cover like expenses or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, Drew Carey, like paying for people's lunches or dinners or breakfast. It's not paying for the rent, but it's something. It's something. Whereas others are just sticking their thumb up their ass and pretending that it's not an issue, right? So,
God, it's we're not living in a world really where you hear good things that people are doing. It's more.
It's true.
Fit of the fittest, survival. Oh, sorry, survival of the fittest. Everyone has to get their own,
right? Before we jump into our segment, I want to mention this because at least if I listen to these episodes throughout the month of October, it will give me motivation. I entered into a competition. Whether I regret it or not will remain to be seen until the end of the month, but entered into a competition for Walktober through my work. So I am now tasked with walking 10,000 steps per day.
Ouch.
For 31 days. All for the sake of like $50 or
that's something. That's the grand.
I don't know exactly what it is. I wasn't paying attention. I was like, oh, it's a work competition. I'll get in. And there were 5 tiers and it was 8,000, 9,000, 10, 11 or 12 steps per day. And I was like, oh, I'll go middle of the road, and then immediately regretted my decision. So today was day 1, and I had to go to the mall to pick up some pre-orders from GameStop, and I decided that I would, park in the parking spot that I would go into the entrance and take the exact opposite way around to the store, and then buy the pre-orders and then walk back just to add on 2,000 steps. And I'm happy to report that I'm at 10,910 steps for day 1 of this competition. So
nice.
Yeah, we will create a segment next week to see how that is. Whether I've fallen off.
Where you fall off. So it's Sunday. We're recording this on Sunday. You hit your goal. I'm predicting Wednesday. You're just fuck it.
That's right. I'm at 191 steps. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just like I give up. Just on the couch.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I'm at 6,100. So, and I
Yeah.
didn't go to them all. I did
Well,
pumpkins instead.
Oliver had baseball practice, and so I was like, well, I'm here for 3 hours, so I'm not going to do much walking. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to make the most of every opportunity to try and, break. So basically, I got home at about, say, 5 o'clock, and from 5 until we went on, I did about 4,000 steps, just going around in circles.
You need a dog.
So, I do, but allergies, right? So
just to walk outside. Put your kids on a leash and throw a ball.
There needs to be a service out there where you can like rent dogs for like a weekend or like hours. Where like I feel like a dog for when I go for a walk with the family. Can I rent a dog, take it for a walk, and then you give it away? That would be awesome.
Sounds like a business.
Stop recording. Stop the recording. We're gonna. we
gotta get on Shark Tank because
right.
This is.
That's right.
This is what we need to do.
Or snake oil, whichever one it will be.
Have you checked out that David Spade?
No, but I mean, I love snake oil because I just know snake oil being that fake thing that you sell people, that facade that you sell them.
Yeah.
And I think it, David Spade, I love David Spade. It could be a good show, but there's already enough shows that we watch that don't know if I'd have time.
Are you still on that Vanderpump or whatever?
Oh, yes. We're almost done season 6. Almost done.
For something I've never heard of, I'm surprised there's 6 seasons.
It's in its 10th.
Disregard.
That's right.
I like to have that comment stricken for the record.
Yeah, that's right.
Or
it's in its 10th.
Take 2. Let's use take 2. All
that's
right.
Yeah.
For something I had never heard of until recently, I'm surprised there's 10 seasons.
Yeah. And Survivor started this week. We got Amazing Race that started this week. So Loki though. Loki's starting on what, Wednesday, Thursday? Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday.
That's a whole other part of the program. This is the
skipping ahead.
Yeah, don't do that. You don't want to. We got time to fill here. Yeah, I figured it's just do. I don't have a graphic or any intro yet for it. I was working on one. I haven't got it completed for the Shocktober. Now, we've discussed many different things of what we want to do for Shocktober. And I said we would have possibly just different things where we come up with that. I guess your Shocktober entry is going to be TV shows that you've started and never finished. So this week, I thought we could think of what is like, put ourselves out to the hashtag Caller Nation, YouTube.com at
subscribe, hashtag
subscribe, and at Open Color Pod on all the other social platforms. Things that movies that you have not seen that would shock people to know that you've never seen it, and something that would shock people that you have seen that you really like that most people may not have, or just something out of your comfort or your norm of things that you normally would enjoy.
Yeah,
that people think is shocking. You got anything? You want me to go first?
No. I'm just trying to find the year that it is, but one movie that might shock people that I've seen that I did enjoy. Took me a while to enjoy it, but after years of waking up in cold sweats and screaming and waking Jade up, I've come to realize, like, obviously it's stuck with me, so I must appreciate the movie for what it is, and that's The Fallen, or with Denzel Washington, John.
Yeah.
It's just such a great movie, and the premise is very simple. Like it's just this spirit, I guess you could say, that is traveling through different people by means of touch, and just terrorizes people. And it has admittedly been a minute since I've seen it, but it's a movie that stuck with me. Again, for better or for worse, remains to be seen. but me not and those those open
Yeah, you're
collar
not a.
listen
Yeah, you're. Yeah.
regularly know that I don't like horror movies. But it's that one more horror movie that I made it through, and it wasn't like a campy horror movie from back in the day, like Child's Play or Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. It was, I want to say it was like mid 1996, 97 that it came out, and
Yeah, there was a run of like
yeah,
horror, but it was a different kind of horror, like because it was like Stigmata and like Stir of Echoes and Fallen.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
and just it was a good movie because I remember at the time I was smoking and I went out for a cigarette and
yeah.
one of the trees had rustled with the wind and I thought it was the spirit and I was like, fuck that, just chucked my dart, went inside. I'm like, and it's like, so it really it worked, right? So that might be, I would say that is definitely a movie that
Yeah,
those
it's
that
kind of
know me
shocking that.
well would be surprised to hear that I actually watched it through and can still appreciate the movie that it is. Like I'm not gonna say it's in my top 10. I'm not gonna say it's in my top 20 for that matter, but it is a movie that I respected the movie. And I mean, let's be honest, anything that Denzel's in for the most part is a great movie. So
I could sit here and have an argument that Denzel has never made a bad movie.
yeah.
As
Yeah.
bad as
I
that movie
mean,
you may think is, it's a great movie because Denzel's in it.
yeah. And then Johnny Goodman, just co-anchoring it the whole time.
I
So
don't think Johnny can do wrong either.
yeah.
Like I'll defend
Yeah.
the Flintstones.
Oh, Flintstones is great.
Like there's
Like
a lot wrong with it. It spends way too much. Like we know that the Flintstones, the cartoon,
yeah.
like was very punny with like, or very loose with like their puns with respect to rock and stuff.
Right.
But like this one just ups it.
Oh, he like
tenfold.
it almost makes you feel like, for every time it came across on screen that he was into the role, he got an extra $10,000 because it was he had like legit bought into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no.
So over to you, which I'm surprised to hear. Go ahead.
Sorry. You're surprised to hear what?
I'm just surprised. I'm surprised about. I'm very eager to hear what your surprise that you've seen that people would think you have not seen. I cannot say Aquaman.
I've not seen Aquaman.
Oh, what was the?
But that's not it. I enjoy, for the most part, musicals. What? Every year for Halloween, we watch Rocky Horror.
Okay.
And I will rock that soundtrack like almost the entire month of October.
That's different. That's good. I appreciate that.
The producers, like I watched like the original Gene Hackman one, Gene Wilder one. About like watching like the stage version that the Mel Brooks did later with Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane.
Okay.
I grew up watching Grease, like because my mom loved that movie. So
Grease Lightning.
Exactly. Danny Zuko. Well, what? I could sit through music and not like Rock of Ages. I also enjoyed, but that's also 80s soundtrack. So
wow, I did not know this about you.
But something I have never seen, and as a guy, people find that very shocking. The Big Lebowski and Dazed and Confused. I gave you 2.
Okay.
I've never seen them, but you assume that I have because hasn't every guy seen both of those movies?
I have not
or
seen,
even one, or just one of them.
I have not seen The Big Lebowski. I have seen Dazed and Confused, which for that I'm like,
that's why I gave you 2.
Like where were you in that 1998?
But I've seen like almost every movie that's
period.
similar to Dazed and Confused. I've seen.
Great soundtrack though. It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah,
I can't speak to
I'm a soundtrack guy.
I can't speak to The Big Lebowski because I haven't seen it.
Truth be told, I have not seen any Coen Brothers movies.
So what other ones were there?
Like Old Brother Where Art Thou, Burn After Reading. They're obviously I think did they do There Will Be Blood or was it the other one? No Country for Old Men.
Haven't seen
one of those.
See, there's a reason why we do this podcast together because we're very much in line. I haven't seen those movies either. So
either way.
So listeners, if you can provide us with reasons why we should see them, please send them in to
And not just,
Open
this
Hell.
won an Academy Award.
That's right. Dazed and Confused, though. Wow. Like,
Yeah,
that
like I
was...
said, I've seen other things that were in that wheelhouse, but I just never got around to it.
So,
Fight Club.
I haven't seen
And I love
Fight Club.
Fincher. I love me some Fincher.
Yeah. I haven't seen Fight Club.
There you go.
But so for Dazed and Confused, like, do you feel that now? Because obviously it's been what, 30 years? I want to say 20, close to 30 years that it's been out, where you've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, it's so far gone that I just don't have any interest, or
no, it's not
like,
a question of having interest or a fine time. Like if it was like I could easily seek it out. I just haven't.
You should watch it. Matthew McConaughey, Ben Affleck. Like Ben Affleck when he had bad teeth, Ben Affleck. Like this is before Mallrats, Ben Affleck.
What was that one he did? Like everybody was in it when they're kids. They're getting some like fucking boarding school. I can't remember what it's called now.
Oh, Boiler Room, wasn't it?
No, even before that. We're talking like Brendan Fraser's in it. Like there's a whole bunch of people in it.
Oh, Soldier Boys. Was it Soldier Boys?
I swear to God, I don't know.
Just interns.
So we'll say sure.
Interns, yeah. Okay. What was the okay, so what was the second one? The second question?
Oh, what is something, shock that you haven't seen, but you seem to be in line with me, so I guess we're all...
That's it?
That's it.
I'm trying to think of another one.
Something that was shocking that you have seen that people would not expect you to enjoy. It was something that you did not see that people will be shocked that you've never seen.
I talked about it today, or last night, sorry. So again, just to reset, last night was DD with my wife and her work friends. So I was in a car with 3 or 4 drunk women. And I was at a wedding
Penthouse Forum
with 3 or 4 drunk women, and kept on being referred to as like, this is our gay friend.
Nice.
Yeah, it was, like, why else would there be one guy with 4 girls? Anyway, so one movie that people might be surprised that I really enjoy is 13 going on 30 is my guilty pleasure. And every guy, like, let's be honest, okay, for every guy listening to this podcast right now, we all have a guilty pleasure. We all have a movie that we absolutely love, where if it was on AMC or CTV or whatever station and it was on, you'd pause. You'd either watch it all or you would at least watch 5-10 minutes, let's be honest. Every guy has one. Mine is 13 going on 30 with Jennifer Garner. I love it. I don't know why. And I think, actually, I feel like I know why. 2 reasons. Number one, it goes back to 80s. Like, she reverts back to being a kid in the 80s, and anything 80s, you have me. Like, I'm sucked in. Second reason is, growing up as a kid, one of my all-time favorite movies was Tom Hanks' Big. And it's basically carbon copy, just rinse and repeat, but with a female lead versus
gender swap.
Exactly, gender swap. So, but still, I mean, the fact remains that it is one of those movies that I just like love. They do the thriller dance when she's older, and I'm sucked in like a 13-year-old girl, to be honest. So my street cred's gone down.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's one that I can think of that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Any more for you?
Nah,
come on, please don't leave me hanging on this 13.
Hey, I gave you musicals, man. Like that's
yeah, you did actually. Wow. How do you recover from that?
I don't know. Like, I might have to just leave here and go to like an abandoned steel factory and think dance.
You know what though? In all honesty, like Grease, great movie. The musical, great aspect of it. I think for me,
high school set movie where not a single cast member is believable that they're in high school. They're all clearly in their 40s.
Yeah, for sure. I think like when it comes to me and musicals, it's like there's that fine line of when it's too much music versus the story versus like they just sprinkle songs in. And
Right.
I guess it is a very fine line that like how
Yeah.
do you define what that is, right? Like a musical is a musical. But I find that with like Grease and I'm trying to think of another one.
I'll tell you why that is.
Why does that go?
These are movies based on the stage plays, and you have the various like the act structure, right? So like you have the scene happens, you have the song. Whereas it's not like, let's say, Singing in the Rain. Like these movies that are written to have singing, right? Back in the
Mm,
day, the way they used to do the movies. These are stage played musicals that are just brought to movies. Like if I went to probably watch again Sing in the Rain or anything that back in like the 40s, 50s with like Judy Garland or
yeah, Bing Crosby
Fred
or
Astaire, Bing Crosby,
Danny
yeah.
Kaye. Yeah.
Yeah, anything like that. I'm probably not. I can't hear Danny Kaye without thinking of Chevy Chase and Christmas Vacation.
Danny fucking Kaye.
Yeah. Tap dancing with Danny fucking Kaye.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So that's my thinking. It's designed that way. So it's like you're not watching the old just sitting around singing for 45 minutes like a Julie Andrews.
Part of me though appreciates that. Like part of me appreciates the old movies from
Yeah.
days
Okay.
gone by where they've gone through. But then I think of like High School Musical. I haven't seen it, but there's probably a reason why I
Yeah.
haven't seen it because I don't feel like
Where
I
that's
could.
literally orchestrated to be like we're making a musical. We're not taking a play and adapting.
Right.
We're making
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. I did go to
Yeah.
a
No Glee shit. Like not watching that stuff.
I went to a play when Jade and I went to New York in 2014, and it was the one that was really controversial about religion. Drawing a blank right now.
Oh, the Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormons, and it was good. Like it was good, and it actually one of the leads was all
Oh,
like
was it
he
when
was that.
was it Josh Gad when he was on there?
I would know him by face. I'll have to have a look, but yeah, it was like someone that's recognizable. He's been like on the Emmys and like he's hosted and but it was like it was really good, so much so that I feel like the people in front of us in the row in front of us didn't know what it was about, and they thought that it was not going to be controversial as it was. And when there was the intermission, they got up and left. And reading the review afterwards, I come to learn that happened quite a bit with the Book of Mormons, was that people went in expecting something completely different and not expecting the controversial play that it was. So they would get up and just leave. Not us though. We stayed.
So you guys were having a time.
Yeah, we were hooping up. Ooh. So it was good.
All right, let's pause here, talk to some geek stuff, and then fan questions.
You send him a postcard. You practiced for weeks. Now it's time for Nick's calling 2,500 kids all this week during the Ozone and all morning on Halloween. Answer, and you'll win a glow-in-the-dark Nick t-shirt, $5 in gift certificates to McDonald's, and a package of Amazing Fruit gummy bears. Nick doesn't care how you sit, what you wear, who you scare. Just make sure you answer.
Nick or treat!
Brought to you by McDonald's and Amazing Fruit gummy bears and
Nickelodeon!
I want to apologize to viewers and listeners because that was not as loud on my phone as I thought it was when I found it. I was like, "Oh shit, this is loud."
No, it wasn't
And
that bad.
there's no video, there's no audio button on these videos when I play them. There is for the background music and the sound effects, but not for those. So, whoops.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. It's 30 seconds. Like, it's just,
You got a problem, turn your sound down while you're in your
yeah,
car or
exactly.
whatever.
You got to follow him. I don't remember that at all. The only thing I remember from that were the coupons that you would get from McDonald's for various reasons or what have you. That's it. So what did I just watch?
Apparently, if It's like, KBBL is going to give me something stupid if they call your number. You
Wow.
call this number. Nickelodeon might phone you, and you just have to answer the phone. Nick or treat.
You know what's funny? I'm just thinking about this now. How, we watch videos from the past, from the 80s, commercials, what have you, where we were so, and I'm thinking even comic books, you'd flip through a comic book, the 22 pages. If you wanted something, if you wanted to pre-order your books, cut it out, or you'd have to call it in. It was always about a phone number that you had to call, which tied to phone numbers that we had to call for whatever reason, contests, mail order, whatever. And we are now still very much tied to a phone, but for a very different reason. I just find that weird. Like, we are very much like, we've gone from actually using the phone, being dependent, to just being on the phone,
Yeah, it's funny how like we literally carry a phone, and the last thing you want to do is talk on it.
Right? Yeah. Like, yeah, it's like, oh my God, okay, like, I'm just gonna get off now, and text and social media, and
yeah, it's disgusting how reliant we are on the technology, as it were. Live streaming.
Meanwhile, we plan our podcast through social media.
Quiet, you.
All
comes back full circle. So now we don't have to be as hypothetical on what's going to happen now, because now we can actually say things are going to happen. Oh, and by the way,
unless you're Marvel.
Yeah, it was School Ties. Was the movie I was talking about?
Oh, great movie! Yeah,
Brendan Fraser, Matt Damon, Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah,
all those fuckers in there.
Where they came and took over the school because it was the students of a bunch of rich people. Great movie. You haven't seen it?
No, I've seen it.
Okay.
But you said young Affleck with bad teeth.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to rewatch that movie.
Do you now?
Yeah. Geek news.
Put the graphic. Geek news. News you can use, right?
That was.
I'm not looking for it. It wasn't that good.
That's right.
It wasn't that good.
True. That's why you have me.
Yeah. So our boy James Gunn's at it again. This time confusing the fuck out of everybody.
What's he doing?
He's confirmed that certain actors that are from DC projects that are not canon are sticking around to just.
Yeah.
So Viola Davis is sticking around. John Cena is sticking around. I'm gonna say his wife's sticking around.
And Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle's sticking around. But everything that they did prior to what he's doing now does not exist canonically. But the actors are. So there you go.
Wait, hold on. So the actors are? So, are you saying that Jason Momoa will be the next Lobo?
Possibly.
What is the infatuation with fucking Viola Davis? I get it. It's
in this world as Amanda Waller, or just in general as an actress?
Oh, no, Amanda Waller. Sorry, I should say. Sorry.
What's the infatuation with Amanda Waller?
I don't know.
I ask you this.
No, is it? I'm just thinking right now. Is it Nick Fury? Female version of Nick Fury? Is it are they trying to do that? Because if you were trying to do that, then I'm gonna say about maybe 7 years too late.
Just having a Nick Fury type role,
African American leading role for an agency that is mysterious and that is controlling and pulling the strings of everything else that comes from it, much like Nick Fury was in Avengers.
Yeah, because they,
Iron Man,
with the exception of keeping Nick Fury around, they kick Shield out pretty early on in this whole story. It was Winter Soldier, right? It was
24, 14, 6 years, yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like it's something that another rival studio needs to copy when they've essentially just. But he's just a background player that shows up every once in a while.
But here's the thing: Nick Fury and that character as it were, had a lot of success up to 2014. It had 6 years of whenever he was involved in the movie, because he wasn't involved in every movie between 08 and 14, but those that he was very successful, and there was that underlying story. Amanda Waller, like, is there such thing as negative success?
Yeah, it's called Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that's right.
The Suicide Squad,
That,
because the first one with Will made a lot of money.
Yeah, it was like there's, but no, like, did she secretly sign like a 15-year contract with?
She must have done something,
Like,
because they keep bringing her out of the woodwork.
honestly, I don't get it. I again, not the actress, the character. Anyway,
I didn't really know much about Amanda Waller prior to showing up in Arrow, right? They had a Suicide Squad in that for a minute before they got all turfed so they can be in the movie. But yeah, so it never seemed to me like something that was needed.
Yeah,
especially to this extent where you have to get a big actress to play a character that's all her job is to do is say, I'm putting this team together, you're going out, you're villains, you fuck with me, you're gonna die, and that's the end of it.
So I remember her as early as Survivor Squad or Suicide Squad, like the first run, and I'm just trying to remember right now who wrote it. Suicide Squad was written by Ostrander and Howard Chaykin. But that run was where she was heavily involved, and then she would show up. So she, in the comics at least, has that mystique of being the Nick Fury that we all know. But I feel in the movies, they're just misusing her. Like, they're not using her to her full potential, but they seem to just be like, we're gonna get it right. Just give us 15 more tries. We will get it.
You've just described DC as a whole.
Yeah.
But we'll get it eventually.
In the comics, like in the comics back in the 80s at least, did serve as purpose in that run, which was at the time, like I want to say it went like 100 and north of 120 20 issues. So it went on for a while.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. But the Jamie Reyes character, that might be the one good thing about the character that's returning from previous movies into, you know, his new Gunverse. I thought he played the character really well, Jamie Reyes. So he at least deserved,
right?
Yeah, and so he at least deserves a second shot in whatever universe James creates. Is my opinion.
If you were to cast Lex Luthor right now, who would you pick? Top of your head.
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston?
Yeah. You said top of the head. That's the first one that came up. I was going to say Jonathan Kreider, but then I was like, no, he was Lex Luthor and Supergirl. And that's just like that's fan service, right?
Would you have considered this fan art? Billy Zane.
Oh, I could totally get on board with that.
Look at this.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Does this not look like Luthor?
Lex Luthor for president. Fuck yeah.
Are
these real, like,
Buffy 2ville on Instagram? I guess use some AI. Use their own interns. I'm on board. I think Billy Zane. You'd be insane not to go with Billy.
Oh, hey-o.
Yeah, that's, President Luthor.
President Luthor. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Right?
Shit. And I mean, let's be honest. Like, Billy Zane is he's a good actor. Like,
if I know anything from Zoolander, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he could probably pull a mean. I mean, if he could just whatever the name was in Titanic, he was an asshole in Titanic. That's
right.
movie that you would not think I watched and enjoyed, but I did.
Okay. And I'm not going to defend Titanic because we've shit on it a lot on this show over the past 5 years, but everyone's seen it. It's a movie that everyone's seen.
Right.
It's not a movie that everyone enjoyed. Like
They just seen.
I'm sure, like you, like
motions.
Michelle, like Ryan, we all enjoyed the very end of the movie when the fucking ship was coming down,
like,
and Buddy hit the smokestack, and just the ting and the yeah, that hands down best thing James Cameron has ever done.
That's right. Yeah.
Aside from Terminator 2.
Yeah. You know what? That shot looked like it was meant to be in Terminator 2, but they couldn't use it. So we're gonna save that for Titanic.
Yeah. Just like I don't know how we fit this into a story like
oh man, can we
the end of the world?
Can we get viral like Billy Zane for Lex? Like Zany for Lex? Hashtag Zany for Lex? Like, let's do this. How is this not being again?
Yeah.
Why am I not creating a universe for a movie theater or a movie company? I just don't get it. And kill it.
Well, one day.
I feel like George and Jerry, like, I like baseball. You know how I always have those quick comments. Yeah, you are good at baseball, but they generally give those positions to people that have played baseball.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's just not fair. That's just not fair.
We know what we're talking about, but we're just not in a position to have anybody of power hear us.
That's right.
So,
unless this podcast goes global, which it will.
China.
Just not in China. Fail.
And so you ever watch did you get into Doom Patrol when it was airing on TV? No?
I saw 2 episodes. And
Number
I just
64
I saw the furthest I saw was when they were at the house. First of all, did you see it?
I saw 2 seasons.
Okay, so
within loved it, but then it got a little too weird for me to keep going.
Yeah,
it was getting weird for weird's sake.
I got as far as when they were in the house and they had dinner at the table,
right?
And then it might have been like their first night at the house, and after that, I was like, okay, like I enjoyed it, but I just didn't continue on.
Yeah, we're finally getting the last few episodes released, which some people thought would never happen because, again, James Gunn's changing everything. So,
is it canon for his?
No, nothing. What was it? The Commandos, whatever he's doing.
Oh, Howling Commandos.
Yeah, they're. That's the first project that will kick off his canon event. So, yeah.
So wait,
so
where does Doom Patrol come in then?
Oh, I'm just saying that we're finally, if you watch the second half of season 4 is coming out, just to wrap it up, and then that's all that's done, and we literally only will have Aquaman left before it's all over.
Yeah. See last
much
week,
over about
folks.
the crying. Let me shit on that.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, yeah, Loki this week, season 2.
Very excited.
We're seeing a lot more TV spots and commercials and tie-ins. And
are you excited about it? Like, are you looking forward to it? Excited might be too strong of a word, but are you
really?
Where are you at?
Because my issue, like anything, has been it's all been a letdown, I find, thus far. With most things. With everything I find has been just not what I've come to expect, and that could be because I'm older. I would have said wiser, but let's be serious. I don't know. Maybe I'm just growing out of it. But
yeah.
Did you see this? This is the latest clipperoo as we head into it.
What I'm about to tell you is going to be hard to believe again. I've been pulled through time between the past and the present and the future.
Everything is turning to
That's right.
Don't overthink it.
Round and around and around we go. All right. Again.
Yeah, so I feel like I put a lot of trust in Tom Hiddleston as Loki. Like he fucking owns that role. So part of me is like, you know what? He's gonna give it his all, and he will make that role into, like, he will justify Loki once again, as he's done at each and every time that he's been involved in a property. But again, like, what is it moving towards? Or is it its own? And I'd be, and here's the thing, like, I would be okay if Loki was its own little, universe, and it was its own little, didn't interfere, but they can't because obviously they're tapping into the multiverse. But I would just like them to acknowledge in some way, shape, or form, like, this is either part of the bigger picture or it's not. But I do, like I said, I do have trust in Tom Hiddleston to play the shit out of the role like he's always done. Data might be a pleasant surprise. I mean, I love me some Data. Is it Goonies Data? We'll find out in a week or two. But
October 6th. So it is
I'm just saying, like, give it an episode or two.
Okay.
Yeah. But maybe he'll be kind of cool.
Maybe.
And then did Jonathan Majors? Was everything cleared with Jonathan Majors?
Nope.
Like,
hasn't started the trial yet.
Oh,
so
God.
we could get a taste of what he's got in place, and then get recast later.
He might be wishing to be on a different fucking Earth.
Yeah.
Depending on how it goes, right?
Like, I'm looking like Tesla there, right?
Yeah. So now you got me all bummed for it to start, Corey. Thanks. Like, I was, it's all fun when you're like, you're saying these thoughts not out loud, and then when you do actually say them out loud, you're like, well, you're making no sense. And there's a lot of holes that you need to fill. And I feel like I'm more like Clark Griswold in Vegas Vacation, where, like, the water starts to pour out from the Hoover Dam, and he's starting to stick gum, and there's more. Yeah, that's what.
That's you.
That's me. ABC's of me, baby.
There you go. ABCs of Steve McCoy. Okay. Now we got to do our thinking caps. Get those on. I don't have a hat today. It's over there. I don't want to get it.
I just noticed that's weird. Normally you have the hat going.
I do.
Look,
you're changing it up. Just letting it breathe.
On the fly.
That's right.
Might be the technical difficulties. Who knows?
I was sweaty from the walking. Well, you would know.
It's true.
Okay. We have a first fan question. So those, hit us up, social, just any of our posts, leave a question, or email us. If I feel like, telling somebody to email you is no different than sending us a letter, like a registered mail.
100%. Yeah.
At Studio 60 and Sunset Strip, P.O. Box. So open caller at iCloud.com.
Send an email. Don't forget to include the proper postage.
Yeah, fucking stamps ain't cheap. Yeah, so we'll use hashtag caller questions. Nice. I just coined that. Question. Hashtag Perfect. Caller question. Question numero uno. I don't have the slide up for this one, so
son of a bitch.
It's on the old iPad. Hashtag Apple. That'll get us some listens. That'll trend. I guess it's related to a conversation about remakes. What movie would you redo, but change it? Example given is Home Alone, but now Kevin's grown up, and it's not about the kid being left at home.
I have my answer.
It's his pursuit to get back home to the kids. So
yeah, I have my answer. Goonies.
Okay, go ahead.
Goonies, and I would redo the movie where they, it's family tied. So like Kevin and Mouth and Data and all them stayed in Estonia, and they were able to save the house, and they grew up there, and then they had family there, and then their kids, and they just pushed their values down onto their children, and then they just went through the whole thing. So the pirate ship left.
Yep.
Who's to say that there wasn't more that were trapped, right? So, or treasures that were left behind. Goonies, 100%. And I feel that, with SGI or CGI and effects and whatnot, this day and age, like you could make that into a really, really cool movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost like the National Treasure type, add some elements of National Treasure in there, because that was an amazing series as well. So I'm gonna say Goonies.
Cool.
You?
Goonies? Have not seen.
You're kidding, right?
Nope.
Are you serious?
I have not seen Goonies. I've seen some of Goonies, but I would not.
Oh my
I have not
God.
seen enough of it that I would have
Corey.
said would have that register as a view.
Corey, like we grew up on the 80s, like the shit that we send each other on Instagram.
I'm not saying I watched other things that were better. I saw
you
Little
have to watch
Monsters.
it. You have to watch it. Little Monsters, great movie too, but you have to watch Goonies. You have to watch it.
There, Little Monsters.
Sorry for the the fan
You
that
make
sent
Little
the question.
Monsters,
You
but not
just-
be so fucking scary at the end. The
You
fucking
just-
face is coming off.
That person that just sent the question blew my mind. It's not because of the question, but because of Corey.
Because the horrific revelation that
The residual fallout. Oh no. Make it stop. Shit.
this is the episode where
It all comes apart. We thought technology was our down.
Yeah.
It was that.
when they do
question.
behind the pod, this is where Open Caller broke up.
So are you
'Cause of
Paul
Goonies.
McCartney and I'm John Lennon, or are we who's who here?
You're the one. No one's British.
That's right.
That's all right.
Well,
It's like I thought you were cool, man.
I thought our friendship meant something. I thought those 80 things I sent you really, anyway.
All right, number 2. How do you feel about changes made to superhero adaptations? Examples: changing powers, genders, origins.
Hate them.
There's a lot of that.
It's everywhere.
A lot, and Marvel to a point, I would say, was better than.
No,
But I think they're really, really bad at that now.
they have just like
But
gone
they try to justify it for like, oh, this is more cinematic.
overboard. They've gone overboard, both of them, and it's okay. Like when there is, you're trying to expand the gender, like you're trying to include females and everything. But when the Flash has 47 other Flashes in the Flash family, it's too much. When Spider-Man has 65 other Spider-Man in the family, it's too much. Batman, it used to be, the dynamic duo, whereas Batman and Robin, and then things happened to Robins and other ones filled them in. Well, no, they don't need Robins to die now, apparently. There's Batman and his 64 children that he takes in. The Batcave's not big enough for this shit. It's too
Well,
much.
it has a giant penny.
It's too much. And a dinosaur, which it's way, way too much. And like it's okay. Wonder Woman has a daughter. Like Spider-Man or Superman has, he's got 5 kids and he's got married, and it's got a clone. And now I just read something this morning called The Uncanny Spider-Man, and it's Nightcrawler acting as Spider-Man. And
I saw that too.
it's just like it was a good story. I'll give it that. I won't do the review today, but it was a good story. But yes, it's too much. It's too much. It's like you're over flooding the character base. Where if you just did it strategically, like if you think back in the day, like Jessica Drew, Spider-Man, that was Spider-Woman. Oh, okay, and you got used to it. And then Miles Morales got used to it, and like, but there was time between the introduction of each of these characters, where it's now like every other issue. And I'll be honest and say that it's been really hard for me to continue reading comics because of that. Like, I just want to get back to just reading stories, and I just don't need to be introduced to another character for all of these other, pioneering characters. So that's all I'll say. I felt like that was long-winded, but that struck a chord. So
I'll just say one thing.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Jared Leto in the Suicide Squad, that's not the Joker. And I
No.
find DC is too liberal with letting their characters just be redone, reimagined however they want.
There's no appreciation for the heritage of the characters. Where, you have writers that take on these books and introduce these new characters. Like, I don't know if you know this, but now there's 3 Jokers. Not just one, there's 3.
The Jokers, yeah.
Tomkin. But if you love these characters so much, why don't you just draw inspiration from them and create a new character? Like, the days of creating new characters, I feel, are so far gone by. Whereas, like, back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s and even before that, it was a big reveal, like when there was a new character, where now it's just like, my 11-year-old son can do it, and it just like, you have to accept it, because if you don't, there's issues. So
yeah, it's not about being creative, it's expanding intellectual properties.
But it's too much. It's way too much. It's way too much.
So you have Donald Duck, and now you have Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah, and I mean, you can, that being said, like the Across the Spider-Verse, phenomenal movie, but it did it strategically. And you know what I mean? As I'm saying this out loud, you can't even compare it to monthlies. Like, you can't compare it to a monthly comic, because a monthly comic is dependent on advancing the story month over month, whereas like Across the Universe, it was what, 3-4 years before, or 3-4 years since Into the Universe or Spider-Verse came out, so they had time. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Or how about even like changing Miss Marvel's powers in the series? Like, she doesn't have like the stretchy anymore.
Oh, really?
Different power. Yeah, no, it's not stretch. It's like I don't know how to describe it.
So
like some sort of cosmic power where it's like she can project, almost like Green Lantern, basically. But instead of having a power ring, this comes from, I guess.
Well,
her.
she's a mutant now.
Yeah, but she doesn't have Reed Richards type stretchiness. She's not Elastigirl.
See, that's the problem.
And this is Marvel.
Like, go figure. Like, you got the one character, Mr. Fantastic, stretchy powers, where literally has not been bitten and has not been replicated at all. And then you get Miss Marvel 10-15 years ago, a very successful character in and of itself.
Yep.
And then you just yank it away. Meanwhile, in between that time period, you've thrown on 17 new Spider-Men or women.
Well, I'm wondering if for Marvel, for the MCU purposes, it's like, do we want to give the kid the power that we're going to introduce in its own series of films? Or do we save it and they have it, and maybe something happens and she gets it later?
Could be. I don't know. I don't even think they know what they're doing. It's
they did, and then they didn't.
In my 25-ish years of like seriously reading comics and like being invested in the stories, I would say that the last 4 years or so have been the hardest to like be excited about it.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if that's just like a blip in the radar, but something's off if that's the case, right? Like I've always been the I'll make excuses for comics and whatever, but it's hard now, you know. It's hard. So
Well, I see that a lot, and when you see articles talking about, oh, this writer's taking this on, or this one's putting in their final issue, and the internet's the internet, so take it for what it's worth. But a lot of comments like, oh, thank God, like this has been a terrible run, or this person, it's not has been good since this person started, or
yeah.
Mind you, like I haven't read. I'm still way behind on stuff. I'm catching up on runs. Like I haven't done any rebirth yet.
Wow.
And now they're onto something else.
Oh yeah, no, like rebirth is like.
There's something. Yeah, they're onto something else now, and there's something in between.
You need to get like mono.
One day.
One
What's something from your childhood that hasn't been adapted into a movie yet that you would like to see as a movie, or I'll extend it more, or a TV series, or
yeah, I'll let you go.
Thundercats.
Oh fuck, that's a good one.
It's been a start and stop for I think decades. It
Yeah.
sounds like someone was going to do it, and it never happened.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Just because it's the only thing I can literally think of that was huge.
But it was it got the TV show. Like, are you thinking about it from a live action perspective, or
I think of this hasn't been touched in like 30 years. So yeah, so it's something we had as a kid, toys, TV show, but now we're adults and it hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not like a toy or something.
I have mine. I'm just gonna pull it down right now. Thundercats is a great answer though. I would love
Thundercats.
Yeah. Oh, and even like the cartoon, like when Lion-O put it up, like the sword up against his eyes, and it went around, like it was just
fucking iconic.
Like the definition of the characters, like it was such a. It wasn't a lazy cartoon. Let's just say that. I guess you could say that would be the best way to explain it. Like it wasn't a lazy cartoon. Like it was really thought well. The animations were amazing. Like it was a solid show. Mine would be this right here. And for those that cannot see, our audio listeners, would be Mask.
Yeah, I figured it was Mask.
Mobile Armored Strike Command. I
don't remember the DeLorean in Back to the Future being red.
It's my favorite cartoon. It's my favorite toy line. I love everything about it. I appreciate how two-dimensional the property is, in the sense of like how can you make it exciting, where it's like a car that, like, you know, Thunderhawk is a Camaro that drives off and then transforms and flies in the sky. Like, it's not that exciting. Like, how can you make it more exciting? It's not like Power Rangers where they morph together and create the Megazord kind of thing. So I can appreciate the limitations of today's world with Mask and the property, but
I don't know, man. Have you watched any of the most recent Fast and Furious movies?
No, I haven't.
Because they fucking launch a car into space, so I think
really
Mask is possible. Swear to God,
for real.
That is a plot point in number 9.
Like I have all of my Mask. You know what I'll do is I think I'll post it. I'll take a photo of it and I'll post it on our Instagram page. But my goal and my mission in life, you know, we have, like, I have the toys that you see here. But my goal is to have every single Mask toy that was made, and I'm getting there, but it's a slow process. But yeah, that would be the one. That would be the one property for me. Mask, Mobile Armored Strike Command.
The acronyms.
Love it.
Oh man, because
like as a 6-year-old, we remembered those acronyms, but then now it's like, you know, we can't remember what we for dinner like 3 nights ago. Mobile Armor Strike Command.
That's
but
right.
we can't remember shit from.
Another one I
days
would have
ago.
said was Biker Mice from Mars, but Ryan Reynolds apparently is
Oh,
remaking it.
I heard about that actually.
I know there was, I think, did they try to bring it back, or they just continued the show like 10, 12 years ago? I can't remember. I don't recall, but yeah, that's one. A movie of some sort. I could assume it's animated.
Biker Mice from Mars was, yeah, it was a good show.
I had those toys too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just muscular mice with antenna riding Harleys.
They're like, you think back to the 80s where, Reagan deregulated everything. So it was just like an open, like it was the Wild West for toys in the 80s. Like it was quite literally the golden age of toys. Where
Oh yeah, and then you had
there
your
were-
like the
there were-
worst fucking ripoff of Ninja Turtles with the Street Sharks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I totally remember
There were
that.
like four brothers, and they got turned into sharks, and they try to talk like the turtles.
But only in the 80s would there be a decade where they would make cartoons that were really supposed to be just commercials for kids to
Right.
ask for the toys at Christmas.
Yep.
Whereas if that were to happen today, where it'd be like, sensitizing our kids, it would be like a whole thing with Gene. It would be terrible.
Yep, it's commercialism.
And now, I mean, I'm the result of so yeah.
A
Great
bygone
question,
era of literally selling to children.
Great question.
All right. I think that's it for our late start on this Sunday evening.
Oh, goodness. Can you believe that we're already an hour and 20 minutes in as I'm trying to find the outro? Oh, wow.
Can I believe that we've been doing this for 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 30 seconds and counting?
Wait, hold on. Have you seen Teen Wolf?
The original?
Yeah.
Not the TV show?
No, the original, the movie.
I've seen both. Michael J. Fox in the number 1 and Jason Bateman in number 2.
Which one did you like better?
The first one. Although I've seen the second one more.
The second one was pretty cool, though, wasn't it?
It's not the same, though.
No, it definitely isn't. It's not the same, but it is kind of cool. I don't know. I figured it'd be like one of those movies that you wouldn't see, just thinking back to the segment that we had earlier. Not the first one, the second one.
Fun fact, urban legend. Final scene in the movie where everyone's cheering after the basketball game.
Yeah.
Dude whips his dick out.
In 1 or 2?
First one.
I'm gonna watch that right now.
I've seen it. Like there's a guy, like it's clearly looking like it could be, but I'm not so sure. But
it's like that viral video that you see, like, woman in 1923 is walking with a cell phone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like if you look hard enough for it, you will see what you want to see. But
yeah, the moral of the story is, you guys want to see a dick? Go watch.
That's right. There are other sites that you can use for that.
That's different.
That's it. Well, that's all for
Hypothetical
this.
Penis.
Yeah,
There's your title.
Yeah, Hypothetical Penis. Well, that's all for this week's episode of Open Collar. Thank you for joining us for another round of discussion and analysis on all things movies, TV, comic books. Amazing fan questions. And if you enjoyed this week's episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a rating and review. We appreciate your support and can't wait to bring you even more great content next week. I would say that the YouTube channel is
youtube.com/@OpenCollarPod.
And your Instagram username is
@OpenCollarPod. Guess what? It's the
There you
same
go.
for Facebook and Twitter too.
perfect.
Sorry.
Like
X,
them all.
formerly
Like
known
them
as
all.
Twitter.
Send us those questions. Send us questions. We love them.
#collar questions.
Exactly. And until then, this is Steve and Corey signing off. Keep it geeky. And you know what? Technology rules.
That's right. And now, your feel good Feldman.
My favorite part.
Notice anything unusual about Santa Carla yet?
No. It's
Pretty cool place. If you're a Martian.
Or a vampire.
Are you guys sniffing on newsprint or something?
You think you really know what's happening around here, don't you? Well, I'll tell you something. You don't know shit, buddy.
Yeah. You think we just work in a comic book store for our folks, huh?
Actually, I thought it was a bakery.
This is just our cover. We're dedicated to a higher purpose. We're fighters for truth, justice, and the American way.
Right.
Hey, man. Read this.
I told you, I don't like horror comics.
Think of it more as a survival manual. There's a number on the back. And pray, you never need to call us.